I would like to welcome all of you to ISS Group's Business Process Improvement Demonstration titled Creation of Business Rules for Approval Routing and Workflow. In this short presentation, my colleague Mike Markowitz will demonstrate how the 21st century organization uses our process digitization methodology along with our business process improvement solutions. In this week's presentation, we will be using our BPI tool, I Purchase, to demonstrate how to create business rules for approval and routing and workflow. We will show you how this can serve as a powerful tool for administering a company's business processes for optimized performance. In today's presentation, Mike will explain and show you how you and your organization can move decisions quickly through the approval chain for optimum operational efficiency. Whether it's a simple rule or a highly complex rule, we will show you how automating business processes can trigger an action upon approval, such as QAD data, creation of an email and or text messages alerts, sales orders, purchase orders, CapEx requests, check requests, and that's just to name a few. If your organization has the need to streamline and improve control over specific QADEA processes, our advanced approval routing technology is your solution. At ISS Group, we are focused on our customer success, and we strive to help them evaluate how they can continually make the appropriate adjustments and changes to critical processes. This is at the heart of our #1 objective, process improvements. With that, again, I'd like to welcome you all to the weekly demonstration, Creation of Business Rules for Approval Routing and Workflow, and I'll pass the controls over to Mike to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Kelly. As per Kelly's introduction, I will be showing or demonstrating how to create approval rules within the simple method within I Purchase. So let's begin. Everybody should be looking at my screen, which is a requisition that has not yet been submitted. On the top half of the screen, you have the header information. On the bottom half, you have the line item information. We today are going to be focused on the fields on the top half of the screen, a little bit of the dollar amount of the total requisition, and the approval history tab within this requisition. So let's begin by creating some approval rules. So the user would click the admin button. It would open up another tab here. And then I'm going to click on Approval Rules Simple. As you can see, there's already some rules in the system. We are going to create 4 new rules today. So I'm going to click New to clear out the fields on the top, and let's discuss the fields that are on the top of the screen. So you have description, which is the description of the rule that you're creating, who's approving it, and what sequence would you like that person placed in the approval routing. These 3 fields are mandatory and have to be filled in to create a rule. The next 2 fields are the minimum amount and the maximum amount that this person has the ability to approve for. And the drop down is, do you want to run the rule about the total of the requisition or the line item, the total of the line item of a requisition? So that's 2 different ways of totaling a requisition. The next 4 fields are header fields. So you have the header site, the rec type, the domain, and the originator or on behalf of fields. And the last column here are line fields. So you have the line site now, the department, the account, the sub-account, the project that the rec might be associated with, and the UNSPSC code. We have found that these are the most common fields that approval rules are built upon. And that is why we created this simple method for approval routing. So here we go. Let's discuss how to create a rule. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a description. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 rule based on a dollar amount. So I'm going to write based on dollar amount for the description. I got it spelled correctly today. Okay. And I'm going to go to approver, and the approver I'm going to choose is me. And the sequence I'm going to put this approval rule in is 150, and I'm going to click Use. Then since this rule is going to be based on the dollar amount, I'm going to make the minimum 10,000. So now what this rule is saying is all recs, regardless of any fields in the system, if it's between 10,000 and 10 million, place Mike, the approver, in the sequence of 150 within the requisition. So now I'm going to save this rule, and you'll notice it's on the bottom here, and the active is checked. So now let's talk about these buttons here for a second. You have save, new, delete. You can copy a rule. So if you have two rules that are very close in nature, you can copy it. You can add notes to a rule, and there is also audit. So you can see who actually updated a rule or who created the rule by clicking the audit button. You also have the top, these checkboxes here. Obviously, active means the rule is active and will run every time a rec is created. You can have approvals or rules, let's say, to just notify someone, send them an email, and not to have to approve anything, and then you can stop processing the rule. So let's continue, and let's make another rule now. So with the next rule we're going to make, I'm going to click New, and we are going to make a rule based on rec type and domain. So I'm going to call it rec type and domain. Now, usually for the description, you would put in, like, let's say maybe the job title or the role, so it's easily distinguished. So maybe IT manager, CEO rule, CFO. Usually we don't use people's names as descriptions because of, people move around and they might not always be in that role. So we try to just use the role for the description. The approver of this is going to be Kelly, the person who introduced us today. And I'm going to make her sequence 250, and I'm going to click Use. I'm going to leave her dollar amount at 0 and 10 million because I want Kelly to approve any requisition, to approve a requisition for any dollar amount that has the domain of Demo 1 and the rec type of expense. Okay? And I'm going to save this rule now. So now there's 2. So, but what this rule is saying is Kelly will be added to the approval routing if the requisition that is created has a rec type of expense and it's in domain 1. So as you can see, adding data to these fields means these are AND statements. Everything has to be true on this screen in order for the rule to activate or be inserted into the approval routing. So if originator, everything has to be true. When you put a star or an asterisk in a field, it means everybody is, or every piece of data is good or can be used. So, for example, any site would work for this approval rule. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so let's make a third rule. So I'm going to click New again, and I am going to do a site rule here, so with a group. So I'm going to type in site with a group. I'm going to put, instead of a person, I'm going to put a group in here. So I'm going to put the administration group. I'm going to make this approval rule level or sequence 350. I'm going to click Use. Again, I want the dollar amount not to be an issue here, but I'm going to make the site 15,000. Okay. Now I can put multiple sites in here, so I can have different sites. I can have a couple of sites. I can make a list of sites that are approved for this rule. Okay. But I'm going to keep going, and I'm just going to save this rule here, and you'll notice it's here. So this rule then says the admin group will be inserted if the header site is at 15,000. Okay? Very simple. The last rule I'm going to create, I'm going to click New again, and I'm going to create one more rule, and I'm going to call this rule rec type, CapEx and I'm going to put a dash here, and I'm also going to do level 150. So I'm going to add an approver here, who's going to be Scott Carpenter. So Carpenter is his user ID. I'm going to add a level of 150. The minimum and maximum amounts do not matter here, but I am going to change the rec type to CapEx, and I'm going to save this rule. So now we've added 4 rules. You'll notice that this rule and the original rule that I made both have a sequential level of 150, and I'm going to explain that now when we go back to the requisition workbench. So the first thing I'm going to do here in this rule, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to change the line item amount from 1,000 to 10,000. I'm going to save and close this. Now, when I saved and closed this, my approval history has now added both Mike and Kelly. And the reason is because Mike's rule stated that any requisition, no matter what the field has in it, or any of those fields have it in them, or data that they've had in them, Mike would be placed in the rule if it's over $10,000. The reason Kelly was added was because her rule had the domain of demo 1 and the requisition type of expense. So since both of these are true, Kelly was inserted into the rule as well. If we want to insert the level 350 rule that we placed in, that was the site with the group in it, I'm going to go back to the header information. I'm going to change the header site here to 15,000. I'm going to save the rule again. I mean the requisition again. When I go to approval history, you'll notice that the admin group was added here. So let me discuss what this means here. So when a requisition starts to get submitted and starts to go through its approval process, an email will be sent out to Mike. Mike would then have to approve the requisition in order for it to move to the next level, which would be Kelly at level 250. When she approves the requisition, it would then go to the admin group. Now, when you add a group to a role, only one person in that group has to approve the rule, not everyone. This is called sequential approval rules, okay? And it goes through the level flow until the complete rec is created and a purchase order, the complete rec is approved, and a purchase order is created. Okay, let's now discuss this little sailboat here. iPurchase has the ability to set your out of office and to delegate your requisitions that need your approval to someone else. So Alex Chen is out of office. Could be on vacation, could be for a number of reasons why he's out of office, and he has now delegated his requisitions that need approval to Bill Combs. So any of these 3 people can approve this requisition to get it to move to the next level. Okay? Now, the last rule that we created was the same level 150, but we changed the rec type to CapEx. So I'm going to change this to CapEx here, and I'm going to click Save. When I do that, I go back to the approval history, and now you'll notice that Kelly was removed because she only was an approver on expense requisitions, not CapEx requisitions. But what you'll notice is Scott has been added to the approval routing. But now there's 2 level 150s. So I'm sure you have a question of why is there 2 level 150s? This is called simultaneous approvals. And what this means is that both Scott Carpenter and Mike both have to approve this requisition before it moves to the admin group. So it's different functionality than the administration group has. Okay? That is why they both have to, because they're both in separate lines on the approval hierarchy, or routing for that matter. Once they both approve, it will get sent to the administration group. Now, they will both receive an email at the same time to approve this requisition. One more thing I want to discuss about adding simple approval rules is that you can add a dynamic value to the approver. So if I highlight this approval rule here, you'll notice that in the approval field, there's xxreq_buyer. And what that means is that whoever the buyer on the requisition is would be placed in level 700 on an expense rec if this was active. So you can do dynamic values as approvers also. It doesn't have to be a specific person or group. And on that note, I am going to pass this back to Kelly for some closing remarks.
Thanks, Mike. I would just like to add one quick comment that I purchase, as with all the ISS groups, BPI solutions, read the Q80 supplier master table, the item master table in real time, as well as it writes to the Q80 purchase order table in real time, eliminating the need for redundant data entry. This in turn reduces human error, improving efficiency, and greatly enhances productivity. Master file data, as you know, is maintained in one place, Q80. iPurchase not only works with the Q80 EA, it will work with any ERP solution that can be integrated with iPurchase to allow a user to create a purchase order in their ERP solution after a request is approved. And with that, I hope that you join our next Wednesday's demonstration, same time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Our contact information is myself, Kelly Anderson, kanderson@issgroup.net. My telephone number, 973-850-4452. Mike Markowitz at mmarkowitz@issgroup.net, 973-850-4448. Or you can send an email to our general inbox on our webpage, our homepage, which is sales@issgroup.net. Again, thank you all for attending this week's demonstration, and we hope that you attend next week or future demonstrations. Thanks. Have a great week.